Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to do is to show you how to regulate a watch. I have this one very inexpensive, and we'll look at it later, movement. And I put it on my time grapher, and it was 132 seconds over being a good timing per day. 100, that's about 2 minutes a day. So you don't want a movement that inaccurate. And so I played around with it, and I wanted to get it down between 0 and 10 seconds. If you can get it to that level, that's considered really good. And remember, this is a very inexpensive movement. It's a clone of a 64, 97, or maybe a 98 that I got from a Chinese dealer. So anyway, so we're not dealing with, uh, an Agenhor movement or something like that. Okay, so let's get started. What I wanted to do, first of all, was to, by the way, I have this is my loop that I use with my glasses. The reason for that is that when I start showing you the thing with the regulate, doing the actual regulation, I'll have this thing on. I don't know if it'll show or not, but anyway, something that you might want to have. This is one kind. If you wear glasses, they have another one with a wire. You'll see a lot of pictures of watchmakers with a little thing sticking out of their head, and those are very popular. Okay, so let's start off with what a regulator is and what does it do. First of all, uh, not on all watches, but these are called curb regulators. And there's a regulator arm of some type. Some of them are very short, and some of them are long, very long. And what you do, you by moving it to the left or to the right, you make the spring either shorter, which makes the movement faster, or you loosen it, which makes the movement move slower. The various parts, the big thing going around is the balance wheel. The spring underneath it is called the balance spring or the hairspring. Usually, this whole mechanism is on that piece of metal. It's called a balance cock, and you slip right underneath the center wheel. Now, moving that back and forth, I use a toothpick or what's called a pegwood stick. I like using a wooden stick of some sort because it's totally non-magnetic, and you don't want to get things magnetized. So anyway, so that's by pushing it one way or the other way. If your watch is running too fast, you just push it toward the slower. If it's too slow, you push it the opposite direction. Now, in order to have something that's more precise, there's something that's called a swan neck regulator. This is a picture from my Langenheim watch, and it has this thing. It looks like a swan neck. That's why they call it that. It's a spring, and the spring pushes on the arm on one side, and then you have a fine adjustment screw. And so what happens is that you can move the arm one way or the other and to get much finer adjustment. The regulator arm is sort of between the sides of the swan neck regulator. One that Mule Glasuda has is called the woodpecker regulator, and it's a very similar idea. You have this spring pushing on one side of the arm, and then you have a fine adjustment screw to the other side. Both of them have a locking screw. When you get them just where you want it, you tighten the locking screw so it doesn't slip from once you get it regulated. You get much better regulation with this. Now, there's you see these on a lot of them. There's the regulator is one arm, and then the other arm is the mobile stud holder. If your movement that you're going to play around with has this, just leave the mobile stud holder alone. That's for adjusting the beat, and you can really mess it up. I've done that before. The thing that that you'll use is that you can move the regulator. You can see the little line. That's the one on the top. It looks like this. This one, the one on the top, is the regulator. And if you move it toward the stud on the mobile stud holder, that'll slow it down. If you move it away from it, it'll speed it up. One way shortens the spring, and the other one loosens it, changing the speed of it. Now, a very different one is is one's called the Agapit balance by Agonor, and you have screws that you tighten and loosen, and then you just move it one way or the other, and then you loosen or tighten another set of screws, and it'll adjust the beat. This requires a special hairspring that was made for by Strassman Precision Engineering. H. Moser, they have a relationship between the two, because there's so many innovations that came out of Agonor, and this is one of them. In Larique watches, we have this kind of balance. Haven't tried regulating it. I just stick, and this is advice for anybody with a really good, expensive watch. Take it to a watchmaker. I belong to a group, a Facebook group called Pretentious Watchmakers. Some of them are pretty good, but me, I'm not. There's simple things I can do, and any collector can do if you have an inexpensive watch you want to make and you want to fine tune it. Now, remember, the one I started with is, this is the guy right here that I'm using, and you can see this big long regulator arm. You can't see it too clearly here because it's relatively small, but there you can see it. So I got this big long regulator arm, and this watch originally was 132 seconds. Now, it's not unusual to be 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds off one way or the other, but 132 means it's way off. So we're going to regulate that, and this next video shows that process. What we're going to do today is based on this movement that was found to be 132 second timing gains. In other words, it was too fast by over 2 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the regulator. Now, if something is too fast, you move it to the minus side or the slower side, or the French, it'll say retard. And so using a wooden pegwood stick, the first thing I do is that I slide it over just a little. Now, another thing you do, I'm moving it around different positions so that I can, while I'm working on it, I'll move it around to different positions so I can get the best angle on the pointer, and then I check my time grapher. Now, what's happened is that I've gone too far. It was too slow, and I moved it. I mean, it was too fast, and I moved it over, but I overcorrected for it. And so now I have to go back and move it the other way so that I can trying to find, going back and forth, looking for the best angle that I can get on it. And this can take a while. It just, you adjust, and then you go back, and then you adjust again until you get it just right. This process can take several trials and errors. When you're working with it, I wasn't a very good example. I use these little latex like they look like they're called finger cots. And so you can handle the movement. I try to do on your offhand. I'm left-handed, and so I put the finger cots on my right hand or on my right fingers, and I try not to touch the movement with my fingers, but I'm not always so successful at it. By the way, too, I have a little movement vise that I hold it in, and I go back and forth between the movement. It's got a little too fast, and then it's slow and fast, and I keep working at it until I finally get what I want. Now, this is down to 3 seconds a day, starting at 132 seconds off. I finally got it down to 3 seconds, and 3 seconds is pretty good. Uh, Usually, with this kind of adjustment, it's really hard to get it to zero unless you're lucky. In fact, it's hard to get it down to three. So that's the adjustment. Well, as you can see, the process, it was a little gummed up. It was, I, I had all kinds of problems with it, but I got done. We finally had it. One of the things that are sort of in the video, you can see these things are called finger cots. And I'm left-handed, and so I put them on my right hand. And essentially what you do, you put them on your thumb and your index finger and your middle finger. You can put on latex gloves too. They look like old ladies' stockings sometimes, unless they're really smooth. Mine aren't. And what you do is that when the watch is, I keep in this little plastic case for the most part, but when you take it out, hold it by the stem and any kind of holding, and then what you do is that you have your tools in your dominant hand. Since my dominant hand, you'll pop that down and then be looking at it down like that. And so anyway, if you're going to monkey around with it, and it's sort of fun, my recommendation is go to some place like AliExpress, get a big cheap movement. Don't get a get a 6498 clone or 6497 clone. You can learn a great deal about your watch and any watch by playing around with it. I'm no professional watchmaker. I'm a pretentious watchmaker and belong to a group, but we have a lot of fun. And if you can do things with your watch, you learn about it. And like I said, if you have something, in fact, there are a lot of really good videos on YouTube where watchmakers give you much better instructions, but this video is to show that literally anybody can do it. Let me know what you think. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.